Welcome to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. We're so excited that you could be with us today. Our topic today is a very interesting one. We are talking about the assertive woman. If you want to engage in our discussion, please log on to our website at www.ecdadventist.org and click on Women Engage, and you can contribute and discuss with other women about our topic. So for today, I would like our panelists to introduce themselves to our audience. I'm going to ask you to tell us your name, and I want you to tell us which female Bible character you admire. And you could also tell us briefly why. So I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is Jocelyn Isavidie. I admire Abigail. Abigail was David's wife. I admire her because the Bible describes her as a woman of beauty, but also great understanding. And when we read the story in the Bible, we see that she really did have great understanding, and she was able to save her household. So I really admire Abigail.
I like Esther because of her courage and because of her principles. She knew what she wanted and she went for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Yetunde Odeyemi, and one of the female Bible characters I admire is Ruth. Ruth is outstanding in her ways. You know, she was not going along the line of the norm. When Naomi says, go back, she says, I stay with you. When they got to Israel, she allowed that mother-in-law to direct her and teach her what to do. If you look at the Bible story very well, she was actually the one who went to talk to Boaz. Yes, by doing what she needed to do, sleeping at his feet. Most women will not have the courage. They will say, I'll be called a prostitute. I like her for being courageous, to say, I like this man, I go speak to him.
Yeah.
My name is Debbie Maloba, and one of the women I admire is Lydia. The ability she had and that confidence to open her doors, to welcome God's servants, that is very powerful. I like it. And I'm always inspired by that, and it gives me strength. Yeah.
My name is Rispa Awor. The woman in the Bible that I admire is Rispa. I admire Rispa because of her courage and because she's a symbol of suffering that women in this world face. Her children, her sons, were killed, and she never went to her home until the bodies of the sons were collected. They were left in the field, and she stayed there with those bodies, the dead bodies. And that is a symbol of suffering that women can go through and yet not get broken.
My name is Miriam Razafia Rivoni, and the woman of the Bible that I admire the most is Priscilla, Aquila's wife. I like Priscilla because in that particular context, she was working in a world of men. But at the same time, when we read the Bible very clearly, she was side by side with that man. And even Paul himself acknowledge her, and that's admirable. And you can sort of read between the lines how much she has contributed to a situation where it would be easier and more comfortable to just go under. So that's why I like Priscilla.
Okay. All right. It was interesting listening to, all of the discussion about the women. Now, I want you to think about the women that we have mentioned. Would we characterize them as assertive women? Are they all assertive women? Is there one that's not assertive? Would we say that they're all assertive women? Just let you think about that for a moment. Were they assertive?
I would say that the one that I have mentioned could be characterized as assertive, or because of her boldness, because of the confidence she had in herself. She didn't have to wait and say, if nobody is doing it for me, I will not do it. She stood for what she believed. and she was bold enough to act in a time of need when it was necessary. And assertive woman is a bold woman, is a confident woman, a woman who endures different circumstances, rejoices when people are rejoicing, and manages the sad situation at the same time without losing herself. I wouldn't say that she was angry. She simply did what was necessary. And therefore, I would say that she was assertive.
Yeah, mine, Lydia, why did I choose it? And I think she fits in that characteristic because the ambition she had. She was a lady. In that society, she could have thought even of what people could think. For a woman to open her doors to welcome men, it was not easy, but she did it because she was determined. An assertive woman is a woman who is determined in spite of what people will say. For her, she looks at the objective. She did it, and she was blessed. Yes.
I think Ruth was assertive in her own way. She didn't see the future. I don't think there was anything in the Bible that says she was promised a husband by Naomi. Naomi had passed the age of producing children anyway, and she had told her, if you come with me, of what use will it be? You are still young. You go get married to somebody else. But she said, your God shall be my God. Your people will be my people. And you know, that's something that she saw that was different, paid off at the end of the day. And by the time Naomi was telling her, this is the culture, this is how we do things, there should be somebody in the husband's family who can take over responsibility. You could see her taking it in strides if you read the book of Ruth. She took it in strides. Boaz was able to tell the young men, please, nobody looks at this one. She's here to collect food for herself, and every day she took food, she took to her mother-in-law, which means apart from knowing what she wanted, she was not selfish. She was just going for it. Okay, each day had to be taken as it comes. And each day paid off. Each day she learned a new lesson until she got to the end point, until she got to the point where she was able to produce a child along the lineage of Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Esther, I don't think when she was growing up she ever thought she would have some fortune come her way. For she was an orphan, and then there was a beauty pageant. She emerged to be the queen of the place. And through her uncle, encouragement from her uncle, she said that, yes, I will do what I can to help my people. Even if it means dying, I will die with my people. And she became like their patron.
For me, for Priscilla, I think she's assertive in her arena, in her domain. She is among the leaders of, starting churches. Difficult circumstances, they were working with their hands to make things working, and they were moved from place to place. So many times that women have changed homes. And at the same time, every time the Apostle Paul writes, he says, greet the church of Priscilla and Aquila. And sometimes he says, Aquila and Priscilla. There is an element of assertiveness, of knowing one's place and doing it in a very reliable way. But at the same time, no pride, there's no self-assertive, self-aggressivity or self-aggrandizement, but just doing the job and yet being at par with what needs to be done. And so that's what I like.
So it looks like all of these women have assertiveness as a mutual quality. And yet they're very different women. You know, you have a poor widow, you have a queen, very different women, very different arena, but all assertive in their own way. And so I think just listening to our examples we've already started to define what we mean by assertiveness, but let's just clarify that a little bit more. So what does it mean to be an assertive woman?
I think an assertive woman is to be able to stand for what you believe and be able to show others that where you stand, you are willing to take the risk, you are willing to suffer if you have to suffer, to be happy if you can be happy, but at the same time to be willing to go forward and not to let yourself being crushed by the circumstances and what people say and whatever adversity comes your way.
An assertive woman is self-assured, is bold, and as my sisters have said, is self-confident. And you cannot be assertive without knowing, having an anchor. So if I could say, where do these assertiveness, let's say, for example, the example that you gave of Ruth, where did she get this, the self-confidence and the boldness to say to the mother-in-law, I'm coming with you. Your God will be my God, and your people my people. She must have learned something from this Jewish God. So there must be God behind a woman who presents herself to be assertive without being angry, without being aggressive. Just that self-assurance, being sure that what you are saying, you believe in. And you can go, regardless of the circumstances. She didn't even know the future. Ruth didn't know. And even Esther saying, whether I perish, I perish. These are young women. They are not old women whom you can say had experience in anything. They are young people. And so as an assertive woman, is a woman who knows her God.
Now I wanted also to borrow a word. It's a woman who is aggressive, but in a good way. I may be aggressive in a good way, in such a way that I want to do something, though people will think this is too aggressive, but it will bring fruit or positive achievements.
I didn't want to use the word aggressive because when you hear aggressive, it sort of connotes negativity. And for all the examples we have given, all of them have a drive. You know, like there's a focus, and this is where I'm going, or this is what I want to achieve. And I don't know if I should agree with Debbie and say aggressive, but I don't want to use the word aggressive in describing an assertive woman.
But having that drive.
Yes, there's the drive, there's the boldness, there's the confidence, there's God. There's knowing God and knowing that, because actually when you look at, I'm going to use a man now, when you look at Joshua, if you read Joshua chapter 1, God started by telling him, my servant Moses is dead. Did Joshua not know that Moses was dead? He knew. But you know, God was trying to put a test forward to say, you have to be bold. You have to be courageous. And God proved that boldness for Joshua. After speaking to him, now he appears to him as the Lord of hosts of the army. You know, and Joshua was not intimidated. He could ask, are you for us or you are against us? So God has to be there for the woman to be bold, for these women to be able to say, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, this is how I'm going to achieve it. Without God, I don't think they would have the boldness. Somebody spoke about ambition.
Yes.
And my ears went tingling. I said, is it ambition? Then I added in my mind, a holy ambition. You know, these women, all these women we spoke about, they are not overly ambitious. Look at the example of Rizpah. She was not going to fight anybody over that case, but she wanted those bodies to be removed and buried honorably. And she waited until she got it. I'm sure her doggedness and her persistence made the men say, okay, we just have to do it. If not, this woman would not let go of this situation.
The most aggressive women in the Bible have not had positive outcomes.
Such as which women?
For example, the mother of Esau and Jacob.
Yeah.
Right? I would characterize that lady as aggressive, wanting something for the son,
And willing to do
and
anything.
willing to do anything.
Yeah.
Another example is Miriam, competing with Moses, a man chosen by God, so very aggressively, and you see the end of Miriam. So the terminology, that term aggressiveness, it may appear like you are fast in doing whatever you are doing and knowledgeable, but then it has a negative connotation and a negative outcome in most instances. So to me, negative appears like people who are in polygamy, polygamous women, each one competing and wanting things for their own children, and therefore it doesn't usually end up very well. It is selfish. To me, it is selfish, and most of the characters that we have mentioned here, we see the selflessness. We see the calmness of mission, and we see the decisiveness in character, and that is the beauty of an assertive woman, which we don't find in Miriam, and we don't find in the character of the mother of Esau and Jacob.
Aggressivity may not be the right term in the sense that you want to be firm. There is an element of firmness in assertiveness. All of these women, definitely they were very firm women and very, very strong women. They don't get shaken easily. Even Rizpah. She suffered, she lost her sons, but she would not budge out of that stone. So therefore, there's an element of firmness. But again, that aggressivity has that connotation whereby the end justifies the means, and no matter what, I break. We don't break. There's no breakage, but there's firmness.
Yes, that's interesting. So we're seeing what assertiveness is, but we're also seeing what assertiveness is not. So we're saying it's not selfish. What other things is it not? Because the examples that we've given, we don't... So it seems when we're saying someone is assertive, we're not saying they're necessarily the loudest talker.
No.
Because I think of other women that we haven't mentioned, like Mary. You know, as we were Mary, the mother of Jesus. I think she was also very assertive, very assertive, and yet very humble, extremely humble. You don't really think of Mary as, you know, because we all know from the time when we're children and we're taught about Mary, how humble she was. So we see her as a quiet, humble, but she was very assertive. For a woman to be told she's pregnant out of wedlock and to you say, you know, to tell the Lord, you know, just do with me as you wish, and to submit herself to his will, that takes firmness, which is assertiveness. How can we as women grow a healthy assertiveness without necessarily going into aggressiveness? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes when we come back after our short break. Welcome back to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. So today we're talking about the assertive woman. So on our panel, we've been trying to define what assertiveness is. And if I can just share a really great definition. Assertiveness is standing up for your rights without denying other people their rights. We contrasted that with aggressiveness. Aggressiveness is standing up for your rights while denying other people their rights. So I think we've kind of gotten an indication of what assertiveness means to us. So do women really need to be more assertive in our communities? Do you think that it's something we need to do? Is it something women are already doing? Why are we talking about this for our women?
I would say that assertiveness is not something that you wake up and say, I want to be assertive. I think it's a result of upbringing. It can also be a result of schooling. So it is acquired because it is a way of life. And a way of life is inculcated in a person. You acquire a way of life as a result of a part of the moral development. So this assertiveness is not something that you, as an adult, you wake up today and say, I want to be assertive. Sometimes you may be aggressive instead. So
now, let's say, for example, if there's someone in the audience right now and they've been listening to us talk about assertiveness and they realize, actually, I need to be more confident, I need to be more firm, I need to, all of those things that we use to define it, and they feel they're lacking in that. Are you saying because they didn't have that maybe upbringing that now they cannot learn to be more assertive?
Let me add something. There are things that we can acquire as adults, but they require transformation of the heart.
Okay.
A work that I believe can only happen through conversion. Because assertiveness is a character that is noble. And I would think that it is possible for an adult, but it comes as a result of the conversion of heart, the work of the Spirit.
Okay. All right, so that's the first step. Because if someone is watching and they're thinking, I think I want to be like that, I realize that either I'm aggressive and really not assertive, or I realize I'm not aggressive, but neither am I assertive. And they're watching this and thinking, what can I do? So the first thing is that they need to give their heart to God. And we're not talking about it in terms of salvation's sake. They may already be a Christian, a believer, but give your heart so that he gives you a new heart, a heart which is more firm, which is more resolute, more confident in who you are as a child of God. And so it begins there. Is there anything else that someone can do to develop that kind of firmness and confidence if they feel that they're lacking in that area?
I think you know, we say that necessity sometimes is a very important element in life. Somebody has said that necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
So therefore, sometimes, culturally speaking, the woman may not feel assertiveness, but she has a burning desire to see something done, to get something done. So like Rispa, she needed to get something done. And that burning desire of getting something done brings about, that necessity brings about that element of, yes, I have to get out and get it done, because otherwise, who is going to get it accomplished? So therefore, there is that element of, one has to know, what am I needed for? Because I believe every woman has a place that nobody else can fit. Nobody else can fill in, and that need is there, and she needs to be able to tap it. And once she has tapped it, she can be sure God will allow her to assert herself. Whether she is like Mary, very humble, whether she's bold, but still assertive to be able to accomplish what is needed to be done.
I just want to pick on what Marianne has said in terms of circumstances leading us to being assertive. And as she was speaking, I was trying to go over in my mind. And so in my head, I'm saying, yes, we need Christ to be able to find the right path into wanting what is right for me and not denying the other people of what is their own right as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, what I'm hearing also from your story, besides the need for Christ, is choice.
Yeah.
It's about the choices that you make on a daily basis. What you choose to do, as well as what you choose not to do. That is going to determine your firmness, that confidence that you have as a woman who is able to achieve your goals. So if we have assertive women in our families, in our communities, what benefit will that be to our families, that assertive woman?
I would like to say that if we have women who are assertive in the family, we would get to achieve things. You know, we'll be achievers, let me put it that way. We can make plans and follow it through. A woman who is assertive does not live her husband alone, you know, like she doesn't plan outside of him, she plans with him. And she would also have a plan for everybody in the family. So I think we'll be achievers if we have assertive women in the fold, in the family.
It will even bring respect. The way you will take care of your children, that also will contribute to the worth of the family. Yes.
The more we fear, the more we keep it to ourselves, the more we plan on doing it and we don't do it in the end, we will not accomplish anything. And so by that we become assertive. And who knows, maybe the other girls who are watching, the other women who are watching and say, I'd like to be assertive as this person, whatever it takes. And so you see, you become a light to other people and their burdens just get eased by seeing what you do.
This assertiveness of a woman can go a long way.
Yes.
Because when children leave our homes and they go to boarding schools, if they did not learn to say no to wrong things, they will continue doing the wrong things. So this brings to mind how important it is for a woman to be assertive. And you know, men don't look at these assertive women and look for them in among others and select them.
Yes.
So, because they confuse assertiveness with aggressiveness.
That's right.
But I think there is something that should be beautiful about being assertive.
Yes.
I also think that one of the greatest benefit to add to what was said is that we get a smile from God.
Amen.
We get a blessing. You know, the Lord blesses you. We read in Proverbs, we're talking about that woman, the virtuous, and you can feel that this is a very assertive woman. But there is the approval of God.
Yes.
And I think this is a very good blessing to obtain for the family, for ourselves, and for society in general.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. Our time has run out. Women, let us be assertive. Let us have confidence and firmness in who we are before God. And let us use our assertiveness to be a blessing to our family and to our communities. Until next time, you've been with Women Engage, where real women have talked about real issues.